Liberia, I wanna know ya. Cameroon, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, gotta let me show ya. Nigeria, Bioko Island, Liberia, I wanna know ya. Let it all hang out. DNA brings the car people out. The artistic, so gifted. African ancestry gets it. Yes, they black owned for the people. In the roots, they will find your sequel. Genetic test in the process, peaceful. Reunite, multiply with your equals. Black scientists, research it. Invest in that time, you're worth it. Experience feels so perfect. Get on the right path to your purpose. No other in the industry like this. Find your link to a tribe, precise kit. The Mende people, Mendenga, Balanta. AfricanAncestry.com. The pioneers in genetic tracing for black people. Since 2003, doing what no other in the industry can do. By tracing your DNA to the present day African country, ethnic group, or tribe. What better time than now to find out where you came from? Order your kit today.
Hey everybody, what's up? What's up? It's Gina. How y'all doing today? Today is June 16th, I think. It's Wednesday. I know it's Wednesday. And I'm Gina Page. I'm the president and co-founder of AfricanAncestry.com. You all know how we do. We are the pioneers of genetic ancestry tracing for Black people around the world. And we are on a mission to transform the way we view, to help transform the way we view ourselves as Black people and the way we view Africa. And we do that through DNA. And so we come to you every week on a Wednesday evening to talk about all things related to African identity, ancestry, culture, all of that. And you know, this is my favorite time of the week. I see Pamela Lamont was up here ready. Darnell was like, has it started yet? You guys were ready before we even hit play. So it's good to see everybody, Avanti and Jane and Vicky and Dina and Drea. Mary's in the house. Nakima's always representing for New Orleans, for Narlands. Yakota's here too. PC Kenny. Glad to see you all. We got our Sierra Leonean family in the house. PC, Madam Mato, Byron, and Wim Payandi representing for Burkina Faso. Our Cafe Cubano Keys. I always love to say your name. Chris rocks you. All right now, Chris, you rocking, folks. We got Altadena, California in the house. I am rocking the Afro, Darnell. You know, it just bees that way sometimes. Renell's here. Montreal from South Carolina. Ophelia, TD. Okay. Look, I can't be shouting everybody out today because we have, man, when I tell you, I'm so excited about this guest. I love all the guests, but no one so far can hold a candle to our guest today. And I want y'all to have the crown emojis ready. I want to see some crown emojis on point when I introduce our illustrious leader. Hey Jermaine, good to see you. So it's almost Father's Day and it's almost Juneteenth. What y'all doing for Father's Day and Juneteenth? I was just talking to Wendi before the show about how everybody is. Darnell, you're hilarious. Darnell said this is a rare event. These two women together is like watching a solar eclipse. It's rare and awesome. Well, all right, then you can cue up the crowns. You can cue up the sun, whatever it is. I just want to make sure we show her some love when it's time. She needs to know how we do. But anyway, what y'all doing for Juneteenth? Because half the people are celebrating, half the people are complaining about enough's not being done. So I'm curious as to what you guys are doing. Oh, you did the crowns already. Don't do the crowns yet. Wait till she comes. Shh, wait till she comes. I wanted to know what you guys were doing for the holidays. So are you celebrating it as a holiday? Is your workplace celebrating it as a holiday. We have a lot of presentations going on starting last week. I spoke to the Black employees at HP around Juneteenth. I'm speaking this weekend. Dr. Kittles and I, you want to talk about a rare solar eclipse, Darnell? Dr. Kittles and I are going to take the stage together. I can't even tell you the last time that happened. It's going to be for the African American Museum in Louisville, Kentucky. It's a virtual event, but he and I will be talking about Roots 101 and all things African ancestry. So hopefully you guys can check that out. I think Wendy's going to put that up so you can see it. I'm excited to do that with Dr. Kittles. Okay, so you're traveling to Charleston for Juneteenth, going back to those Sierra Leonean roots, huh? And then Jane's going to New Orleans. So y'all are traveling. Okay, I'm a little scared to travel, even though I did go to Sierra Leone. Averill says that their family is celebrating it as a holiday. That's nice. So yeah, this is the event, June 19th. Dr. Kittles and I are talking at 11 a.m. from 11 to 12. So if you guys want to join us and hear what we have to say, you hear me talk all the time, but it'll be a good opportunity to to hear him talk. Okay, so Lisa says Juneteenth is an official holiday in Illinois. Nice. Connie, I love that. Connie and her daughter are going to do an essay. Very nice. You want to know about the African Ancestry, the Remember Who You Are study guide? Connie, you should check that out. All of you should check that out over on AfricanAncestry.com. We have a study guide we put together that is a perfect tool for yourself or to work through with your kids. So I encourage you to check that out. Oh, we got Chazelle in the house. This is a Sierra Leone family reunion up in here. Nice to see you, Chazelle. Thank you for being here. Michael Friend, Soul in Motion is performing. Oh, you're performing virtually. Okay. We got all the Sierra Leoneans. Okay, well, listen. That's enough. I don't want to keep our guests waiting. Our guest tonight is the founder, president, and chief executive officer of ADDI, which is the African Diaspora Development Institute. Her Excellency Arikana Chihombori Quao, MD, is a medical doctor. She's practiced medicine for over 25 years. She's the founder and owner of several medical clinics. She's a diplomat, a public speaker, an educator, and an entrepreneur. She's also an author of a recently published book called Africa 101, The Wake Up Call. And we're going to talk about her book too. It's an Amazon bestseller. I know y'all don't have this book, so I'm expecting to see some. Actually, maybe we could get it on mahoganybooks.com, but I'm expecting to see a boost in book sales after this live from the family. I met her in her role as permanent representative to the African Union mission in DC. She was there from 2016 to 2019. And when I tell you all, her bio says this, but I've witnessed it. She worked tirelessly towards fulfilling her mandate. And this mandate was to undertake and develop and maintain relationships between the African Union and the executive and legislative branches of the U.S. government. The Africa Diplomatic Corps, the Africans in the Diaspora, and the Bretton Woods institutions. She had to manage all of those relationships. And she does it with such grace. Like when you talk about a role model, okay, I'm diverging from the bio. Okay. Her role was specifically in relation to the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area and advancing the priorities of Agenda 2063. I heard her say that as the African Union ambassador to the United States, she had two main goals: to promote Africa in the U.S. and then to galvanize the African diaspora to participate in the development of Africa. And so she was everywhere, traveled everywhere, speaking, teaching, educating, leading. Her efforts at mobilizing the diaspora as people of African descent and not as citizens of any single African country is unprecedented. That means nobody else did it before her, and exemplifies her ability to unify people around a common goal, speaking with one voice as one Africa and one continent. As if that wasn't enough, she has so many awards and accolades. She won the Achievement Award in 1996 from the late President Nelson Mandela in South Africa. She won the African Woman of Excellence Award in July 2015 during the African Union Summit, among 13 other powerhouse women. In 2018, she won Ambassador of the Year Award from Howard University. She's been recognized by Congress and mayors and governors and county executives all across the diaspora, not just in the States, but in the Caribbean and in South America. Then in 2019, she was named 2019 person, or in 2020, she was named the 2019 Person of the Year by the Guardian newspaper, which is the largest newspaper in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Listen, I'm not playing with y'all. She's not playing with y'all. And she's here. She's here at African Ancestry. She has so many awards. I mean, she's 10 most influential Africans, the most reputable Africans. Her reputation, her morals, her ethics are beyond reproach. And I never knew her as a doctor, but I can only imagine how successful her practices have been just from her gracious spirit as a leader. She's married to her, so she hails from Zimbabwe. Is that right, Ambassador? That's what I thought. Okay, she hails from Zimbabwe, but I've heard her say that she's actually Ghanaian because she married a Ghanaian man. So she has a Ghanaian husband and is the proud mother of 5 children. How does she do all that and have 5 children and 5 happy grandchildren? Darnell was right when he said powerhouse. That's what she is. So that's Her Excellency Ambassador Chihombori Quao, MD. I want to play this clip for you all. The very first time I heard her speak was here in the DMV in Prince George's County at a prayer breakfast, a faith breakfast. And the entire room was mesmerized. And I have not forgotten, this clip is not from that event, but it is the explanation that she gave about the Berlin Conference that has stuck with me for many, many years. So I'm going to play this clip and then we'll bring her up. Oh, we can't hear it, Wind. We tested this, y'all. 1 second. And so when I bring her up, yes, Baba Ajumu, she is a phenomenal woman, absolutely.
And his children are for prevent the European.
Oops. Well, maybe what we could do is just have her. You got it, Wendi? Or give me a thumbs up or. Okay, she found it. Y'all are so patient. Thank you for being patient. I gave her such a resounding bio read that I know you're all sitting on pins and needles. Well, I think what we'll do is I'll just ask her the question. So do you all have the suns ready, the sunshine ready, the crowns ready? Please welcome in the comments Her Excellency Ambassador Chihombori Quao. Hello, Ambassador. How are you?
Doing very well, my sister. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad to have you here. I want you to be able to see in the comments all the love, because we've all been waiting for this conversation. And so thank you for being here. What I wanted to show was a clip of you in like 2 minutes, you broke down why Africa, why we need to know about Africa, the history of Africa, in order to understand what needs to be done. And you explained the Berlin Conference so eloquently. Could you break that down for us right quick?
Yes.
Please.
November 1884 to February of 1885, in the cold Berlin months in Germany, the colonizers met to discuss how they could see to it that Africa and her children are forever defeated and dominated. They had been in Africa, where they found some amazing kingdoms with their own well-established religious and educational systems. They sought out to destroy us. So for 4 months, they sat around a great big old table with a gigantic map of Africa across from them. They took out their carving knives and began to partition our Africa into the tiny little economies that we are today. The more powerful a kingdom was, the more kingdoms that came out of it. The more organized a kingdom was, the more countries that came out of it. Not only many countries out of that same kingdom for the purposes of divide and conquer, they also assigned those countries. I'm going to pause for a quick second, please. Sorry about that. So the more countries that came out of it, and the same countries were also assigned to different colonizers who spoke different languages. This was done as a way of making sure that the rule of divide and conquer was as successful as it could be. This was all done as a way of making sure that the new countries, the new nations that they would have created, are nations, one, that could never survive on their own, but in the event that they should, they are nations that are easy to destabilize. So it is that they got together, and by the 26th of February of 1885, they completed their dirty work. The Africa that we have today, with the exception of a few changes, was born. An Africa that was designed to be forever defeated and dominated. Over 130 years later, we, the Black people, have been unable to undo the damage that was created by the Berlin Conference. What does that mean in the real world? How does the Berlin Conference continue to be alive and well today? They talk about globalization. Let's all come together. We're one big market. Let's trade together. But guess where all the minerals are, the natural resources are? 80% of the world untapped natural resources are in Africa. Over 65% of the arable land in the world is in Africa. So they know there's a lot to get out of Africa. So poor little Togo was told, you're a sovereign nation. You have the same sovereignty as China. Poor little Benin, poor little Djibouti, poor little Eswatini, you have the same sovereignty on the world stage as the United States. And now as Europe, as the European Union. How does Togo? How does Benin? How does Gabon with 1.5 million people, Lesotho with 1.5 million people, how do they go to the world market and trade with China with 1.4 billion people? It was all by design to see to it that we are forever defeated and dominated. I often equate to like taking my poor husband and putting him in the same boxing ring with Muhammad Ali. And so when my husband collapses before he even leaves home, the world says, what's wrong with you, Dr. Quao? You can't find Muhammad Ali? And they don't understand why Togo is not thriving, because French military are in Togo. French treasury is at the Togolese central bank. French government, French companies rather, They're managing and employing over 80% of the Togolese people. They control the economy of Togo. How does Togo breathe? The same is happening in every country in Africa, and we are being made to say, oh, leadership. I'm not saying we don't have leadership issues. Yes, we do. But who doesn't? But what are you leading? I am reminded of a cartoon that was sent to me last week. There was Africa up in the tree running away from a lion who was depicted as the United States, and a crocodile who was depicted as Europe. And then as Africa is running up the tree to run away from the lion and the crocodile, well, guess who was already in the tree? China. It was a snake ready to attack the African. Where does Africa go? That cartoon character, it depicted the situation in Africa. I'm saying to you, my brothers and sisters, Africa is under siege. They have their knees on our necks. Africa cannot breathe. And all that goes back to the Berlin Conference. Thanks to the organizers of the Berlin Conference, Africa is under siege. And until we understand what the Berlin Conference means then and now, our ability to strategize in order to undo the damage will not yield the desired results.
We know it, but to hear you break it down and explain it so clearly helps us to understand it even more. And I had this big lofty question that I wanted to ask you, because I do know your passion for the continent and for your people, which is, what will it take for Africa to be free? And I know that's a huge question, Ambassador Arikana, but you know, if you had to just come up with a couple of things, because it feels like it's the natural extension of what you just explained.
Well, actually, I'd like to use an example of the Jews after Holocaust. 1945, 13 Jewish men met in a library in Tel Aviv. This was after Holocaust. They had nothing. They were trying to regroup and figure out where they belong and way forward. The decisions and the plans that those 13 Jewish men came up with back in 1945 are decisions that they have nurtured and developed to where today we have the Jewish nation that is as powerful as it is today. Mm-hmm. We only have 15 million Jewish diaspora and a little bitty country called Israel, a desert pretty much. Compared to us Africans, we have almost 400 million African diaspora, plus the largest land mass on earth, over 30,000 square miles of land. Look where we are. The only two things that they understood mattered the most, and they concentrated on that. It was unity of purpose. They came together, they organized. Where are you? What do you do? And how do we get in touch with you? Mm-hmm. Secondly, now that we know who you are, here are the issues. For us to accomplish this, we need money. Let's pull, again, unity of purpose, financial unity of purpose. That's the only two things they did. They pulled their monies together. They came together. If we can unite and understand why we are uniting, if we can understand that I don't have to love you, I don't even have to like you, but at a certain level as Black people, we have a responsibility to unite and fight for our shared survival and greater good. But more importantly, we have a responsibility to fix the situation with Black people for our children and generations to come. Let's unite and let's pull our financial resources together. The rest is easy.
And that's what you are, that's the blueprint you've laid out for ADDI, correct?
Correct.
The Africa Diaspora
Development
Institute. Can you tell us about that, how that came about and where it is right now?
African Diaspora Development Institute is an entity that was designed to be the one-stop shop for everything African. Can you believe, Sister Gina, that as long as we have existed, There isn't one place that you could go to if you wanted to get information about Africa. If you want to go to Nigeria, you got to go to the Nigerian embassy. If you want to know something about Kenya, you got to go to the Kenyan embassy. It's ridiculous and insanity of the highest order. So we're saying as ADDI, we need to have one place that if you want to go home to do business, right now we are concentrating on going back home, going to do business. So our mission is to mobilize African diaspora to participate in the development of Africa. Our mission is to educate the African diaspora so they really understand what is really going on in Africa. Because diaspora are not doing the right thing, not because they don't want to, but because they are misinformed. It goes back to the miseducation of the African, miseducation of Black people wherever we are. ADDI is saying, let's have that unity of purpose. The building of the Africa we want is our responsibility and ours alone. The change that we desire, the respect that we desire, we have a responsibility to demand it, because we can no longer continue to be the most disrespected race on earth. When it's all said and done, we gave birth to humanity as we know it. In fact, we should be put on the tallest pedestal, but instead, we are in the slums. Again, intentionally done in order to continue to dominate us. Intentionally done in order to take over our inheritance in Africa. Knowledge of our history, knowledge of the world and how it runs, it will keep us from being thrown a shiny object, running after the shiny object when the real issues are in the opposite direction. ADDI is about educating the African diaspora, creating that unity of purpose, creating and pulling together of our financial resources for the purposes of putting an end to the abuse and exploitation of Black people, not only in Africa, but around the globe.
Thank you for creating the organization. And you have been championing the 6th region, the African diaspora, for a very long time. Can you talk to us about how that came about to recognize the diaspora as the 6th region of the African Union, and what exactly the diaspora includes?
The African Union defines the African diaspora as all people of African descent, regardless of where you were born. All people of African descent living outside Africa. If you're African American, yes ma'am, yes sir, you are an African diaspora. If you're African Caribbean, African Latino, Afro-European, yes, you are an African diaspora. The African heads of states are saying, come home to Africa. They are taking a page out of the Jewish playbook. Once a Jew, always a Jew, and you're welcome home to Israel. Where we're saying, once a Black person, always an African, and you're welcome to go home, and no one can stop you. And that should be your attitude, because you are an African, plain and simple.
I know.
So we're saying we need to go home. Africa
so what do you,
home, end of story.
End of story. So what do you think about the recent Sierra Leone's recent decision to offer citizenship to people of African descent whose lineages trace back to Sierra Leone? They started it in November of 2020, and then in January of 2021, another group went, and then in April, as you know, 59 people traveled. What are your thoughts on that?
This is amazing, because the First Lady of Sierra Leone and her husband are amazing people. I remember we were talking one time, we were on a program together, and he said, my sister, if you're Black and you show up in Sierra Leone, you're African, end of story. That is the spirit that is needed. You don't need to go through hoops. I look at you, Gina, I see an African. What else can I see? Let's be serious about this. As a continentally born African, I'm ashamed that our leaders to this day, we are not we have got to do something about what is going on with the children of Africa around the globe. It is shameful. It is way past due. And our leaders must be ashamed. Something needs to be done. They all must follow suit as to what Sierra Leone is doing. I am so proud of the president of Sierra Leone, and I know the First Lady was way behind it and making sure that Mr. President did the right thing. Now, the rest of Africa, let's follow suit. The children of Africa must go home. End of story. There should never be any other conversation. I mean, it's disgusting and it's sad that we even have to have this. You know, we are busy complaining about what the Europeans are doing, and yet we are not talking about what we are doing to each other that we can fix, and we don't need anybody to get in the way of that. So yes, I think Sierra Leone, what they have started, has got to be duplicated throughout the continent.
Oh, hold on. The beauty of what they started, Ambassador Arikana, is it came from the people. It came from the children, the people, the descendants, people who had taken our test, and they just kept lobbying and kept pushing and kept traveling back to the country and stayed engaged and stayed motivated, and they kind of from the ground up, right? It swelled up to now, you know, it's a big deal, and it's internationally known that he's doing this work. So we're very proud of those African Ancestry family members for leading the way. There are a lot of programs that you've envisioned for ADDI, and I wanted you to share some of them, because we talk about you've taught us that we have to get engaged and we have to become financially active as a community. And so what are some of the things that we can do as members of ADDI to support that?
I often say 1 million people with $1,000 a year is $1 billion.
Can you say that again? Can you say that again, please?
1 million people with $1,000 a year is $1 billion. That equates to about $83 a month. We do that for 1 year, we are sitting at $1 billion. Now take 5 million out of the 400 million of us. Now let's do it for 5 years and stop. That is all the money we need. Between monetization and investing those funds, we can change our circumstances. Can we have 5 million people in the United States? We're sitting at 50 to 55 million Black people in the United States, another 45 million in the Caribbean, over 200 in South America. And then, of course, 1.3 in Africa. Just give us 5 million. And everyone to commit to $83 a month for 5 years. It doesn't have to be the same people. As long as we can average about 5 million contributing, we are done. We can take care of our circumstances. We can open our own Africa House centers throughout the world. Just like the Jews have Jewish centers. If a Jew needs anything, they go to the synagogue and they get the help they need. We need Africa centers all over, Africa houses all over the world. If you're Black and you need help, if you're Black and you want to go home to Africa, if you're Black and you want to invest in Africa, go to the Africa House and we will guide you and we will help you. We will show you the way home. We'll have our own banks where if you need money, if you need low interest loans, go to the diaspora banks. With that money, $83 a year, a month, from 5 million people for 5 years, we can do this. The question then becomes, are you prepared to do that? When we give that $83 a month for 5 years, it's not about you. It's about the legacy. If you're coming into it and say, what's in it for me right now, you're in for the wrong reasons. It's about the legacy. It's about saying we are the generation that's going to put an end to the disrespect of Black people. It's about us saying we can no longer continue to be the most disrespected people on earth. What have we done to the world to deserve this? So the $83, the question then becomes, are you dedicated as a Black person? Are you sick and tired enough that you're going to say to my sisters, look in your closet. You got handbags with tags on, shoes, dresses. Can you not afford $83 a month? So your children can live a better world. Generations to come can live a better world. Can you not afford $83 a month for our legacy? I would hope that is the spirit that this moment is calling for. A spirit of selflessness. And I'm saying, take that hamburger money. Let's put it into ADDI. We have a fund that will be, completion of registration should be sometime in August. We want as many people to be shareholders of that fund. Let's pull our monies together. We don't need anybody. We have our own financial resources. All we got to do is rid ourselves of the legacy of slavery and colonization. The rule of divide and conquer must die. Berlin Conference must die. We need to wake up from our slumber of over 400 years. How long are we going to continue to be stupid, my brothers and sisters? How long? Sometimes I sit back and I think we're just probably, I would tell my white friends, I wish I could be a fly on the wall when they're talking about the dumb things we do as Black people. Because we do, and we know it, and yet we can't change. Do you love your children? Stop right now. Look at your children. Are you okay with leaving them this world the way it is? So they can be the next George Floyd. Are you okay with that? I would hope the answer is no. Are you okay 20 years from now when your grandchild says, grandmother, grandfather, there were problems with our race. They killed George Floyd and many others. What did you do? What is your response going to be? It's that simple. Do you love your children? If you do something about it. ADDI is creating the platform for us to do so. In the past, we did not have the platform. When that fund is up, you better be a shareholder. Stay tuned, join ADDI, ouraddi.org. Let's be part of the movement. Let's decide our destiny, and let's take our place on the world stage. We are the mothers and fathers of humanity. We belong on the tallest pedestal.
I love that. We do belong on the tallest pedestal. And Wendy's going to pull up some of the pages. I want you guys to see ADDI so you don't have any excuse. We put the website up, and I want you to see some of the pages so you can see all of the different types of things that the organization is planning. You can join the movement. You can donate to the movement. I'm going to ask you about Wakanda One, Ambassador Arikana, because I know that's something that's very dear to your heart, as if your heart has compartments and one thing is more dear than the other. But I know you've been working on this vision for quite some time.
Right. Wakanda One City of Return. It's people are not aware that no amount of money put into Africa can give us the desired Africa that we want. Look at healthcare. Today, Africa needs about 1.3 million doctors. If all the continental African doctors in the diaspora, all the African American doctors in the diaspora were to go home to Africa today, we're only going to meet about 30% of the need. What Africa needs, because of the brain drain out of Africa, the brain drain that started with the children of Africa coming out of Africa over 400 years ago as slaves, followed by those who left in search of greener pastures. That brain drain has left Africa without the capacity that Africa needs for us to build the Africa that we want. The same shortage in healthcare. There are more Ghanaian doctors in New York City than in the entire country of Ghana. President Nana Addo thought,
really?
Absolutely. He thought by building more hospitals, by renovating old ones, that's how he would improve healthcare. Well, guess what he found out? Half of those wards were sitting empty. Not because there were no patients, but because there were no doctors. There are more Nigerian doctors in Los Angeles than in the entire country of Nigeria. And yet we, the diaspora doctors, we sit back and say, I went home and my mother couldn't have access to a good doctor, couldn't have access to a good hospital. Duh, because you're in New York City and you're in Los Angeles. Wake up and smell the coffee. The same is true in education. The educators are outside Africa. The engineers are outside Africa. What Africa needs is capacity building. Wakanda One City of Return is going to be pillared on an educational center of excellence and a healthcare center of excellence to do nothing but train the capacity that Africa needs. So we no longer have to depend on the Chinese coming in with their expertise, the Europeans, the Middle Easterners, the Indians. The reason the heads of states are going to these outsiders is because the capacity that we need is not in Africa. Today, as we speak, there isn't a single African country that has the capacity to build an airport. There isn't a single African country that has the capacity to build a railway line. United, however, we have an abundance of capacity to do that. It all goes back again to that unity of purpose. Diaspora. One president asked me, what problems do you, diaspora, have in coming together, pulling your finances together so you can build the next airport? Pulling your finances together so you can buy that gold mine. Pulling your finances together so you can invest in Africa, go back home to the United States, go back home to Europe, play golf like they do while your money is working for you in Africa. It's simple math. But I cannot tell you, Sister Gina, the number of people, African Americans. But we African Americans are different. Huh. How are you different, my brother? We are different. How are you different? I've been on many programs, people call in, we're different. And my response is always, I'll take you, my brother, and I'll take you to Ghana with my husband. You walk down the streets of Accra, they see two black men, two Africans.
Yeah.
I'll take you and my husband, let's take you to the streets of New York City. They see two black men. When they shot that African man in New York City, Mamadou, whatever his name is, years ago, they did not shoot a Sierra Leonean.
Right.
They shot a black man. So why do you continue to be stupid and tell yourself we are different? Come on. But this is, too many people feel that way.
Yeah.
So because they are different, they don't think they need to go to Africa. Well, then you deserve what you get. Because what is in Africa belongs to you. Either you go and get it or they will get it for you. Gina, you know as much as I do. Before COVID, but even now, you get in the planes to go to Africa from anywhere. The majority of the people in those planes don't look like me and you.
No.
You get in the planes within Africa. The majority of the people in the intra-Africa flights don't look like you and I. Do you think these people are going to Africa because they love the Africans? Of course not. Because they're going there because there's something amazing going on in your Africa. They're going to take your inheritance while you're too busy being told, stay away from Africa. It is a diseased and dying continent. Hello. Information is all there.
Yeah, yeah. I know that you have an extensive group of advisory board members and people that you're affiliated with and that are part of ADDI. Are there any other, Yokota wants to know, are there any other African country leaders that are on board with ADDI?
ADDI is apolitical. We are about creating a strong private sector through collaborations with our brothers and sisters in the private sector in Africa. So yes, we were invited by the Kingdom of Asebu. The president of Ghana has reached out to the kingdom to say, because Cape Coast, some of you may not be aware, that 80% of the Africans who were taken out of West Africa as slaves, they were pulled into Ghana. They left from two main ports. Cape Coast, they call them castles, we call them dungeons. There was the Cape Coast dungeons and the Elmina dungeons. Those who were taken to North America, the US and Canada, they left out of Cape Coast dungeons. Those who were taken to the Caribbean and South America, they left out of the Elmina Castle. Okay. President Nana Addo felt very strongly that this very same place that our ancestors last set foot on the African soil, there should be a city of return. So the children of Africa can come home and complete the journey. So the children of Africa can stand at the dungeons and look across the Atlantic and tell the slavers once and for all, while you may have won for 400 years, ultimately we are the victors, for we would have come back home to Ghana, to Cape Coast, where they last set foot on the African soil. So the Kingdom of Asebu Having heard about ADDI, they dispatched one of their chiefs to come to the United States, met with me and the ADDI team, and officially asked us to partner with them to realize the wishes of the president, which is the establishment of the Wakanda City of Return in Cape Coast, Ghana.
Nice.
It is a city that is fitting. We have had invitations to various countries. We were supposed to have gone to Zambia before COVID. Before COVID, we had 8 countries already lined up. But because of that, we had to just lay low for now. But now that COVID is beginning to look a little better, we are going to be cranking it up. And yes, we are going to go to just about as many African countries as we can. For now, we are having a regional approach. First is Ghana. The next one is going to be either in Zambia or Kenya, whichever one. We already have land in Zambia, but Kenya is coming in strong as well. We have a strong group of Kenyans. We have organized, they've identified a university setting with a hospital and a teaching hospital. We are looking for centers that are already building the capacity. We're looking to partner with them, increase the capacity, and begin to build the centers of excellence regionally and with due course nationally as well.
And the goal of the Wakanda One cities will be to establish a city where people live and thrive and work and have a strong economic base. But I imagine there will also be a tourism sector. Am I correct?
Oh, big time. In fact, phase 1 of the Wakanda City of Return, it's a welcome center. It's going to have a 500-bed hotel, 200 chalets, 1,000 homes. The 1,000 homes are going to be an extension from the 40 acres that are on the beach, a short mini shopping center. There's also going to be a museum. The museum is going to be a living museum that we hope that it will take people through a journey of a little girl who left home in Ivory Coast to fetch water, and she gets captured and she never comes home again. We will follow her journey through the forest. Some never made it to the dungeons. Some, they died, got sick, they got mauled by the lions. We're gonna follow that little girl. And if she makes it, how she stayed in the dungeons, through the feces and the urines where they were packed like sardines, through the entry into the door of no return, the transatlantic journey, the raping, the abuse, the torture. We're gonna show it all. We will take you through the journey of what our ancestors went through. But more importantly, we will show you how evil these people are and why reparations must be paid.
Ambassador Arikana, I've wondered this question since the day I met you. How do you do this? How do you do this work? How do you stay encouraged? How do you stay motivated? How do you stay true to your vision? How do you stay pumped up with all of your passion? How do you do it?
Well, it's a simple matter. What's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, and a citizen of the world. What I don't understand is the injustices in this world that are blatantly meted to Black people. How long? I happen to have been in a special position, having been given a platform to represent the continent in the Americas. I was given a platform to represent 1.3 billion people on the continent and almost 400 million in the diaspora. I had a choice to either be quiet, drink tea and coffee, and be wined and dined in Washington, or roll up my sleeves and speak truth to power. If I was going to do my job according to the mandate, it's exactly what I chose to do. I remember the time I decided, because when I initially went to Washington, I didn't think I was going to stay. I wasn't sure what difference I was going to make. But when I was faced with the blatant abuse and I saw it up close and personal, I remember calling my husband. I did not have a house in DC at that time. I remember calling him up and I said, honey, I think I've decided I'm gonna hang around a little bit longer. And I will tell you the words I used and the reason why I was gonna stay behind. I said I was gonna stay behind until they ran me out of Dodge. Because you know what? It needed to be said. I could no longer sit in meetings and smile and act like everything is okay when they're pissing in my face. I'm sorry, pardon my language, my sister. But that's what was happening. We're supposed to smile. I'm in a meeting. We're talking about peace and security in Africa. We're in Africa, where the half of the room is full of people from Europe. Why are you here? We are talking about peace and security in Africa. Do you invite us to discuss peace and security in Europe? Why is half this room full of you guys when we know very well you are responsible for the instability in Africa? You are responsible for the wars and endless conflicts in Africa. And yet you paid for us Africans to come and sit down and talk about peace and security in Africa. The big animal in the room is you guys sitting behind us. And I'm supposed to sit there and smile and waste my time, talk about nonsense. Get out of here. We don't need you. But I was faced with that every day. How do you live with that? And I'm supposed to smile. Oh, it was a good conference. Excuse me. That was my reality. It is wrong. It is wrong. It is wrong. And I made a decision to call them out every step of the way.
What kind of reactions would you get when you? I mean, we know the most well publicized one, but what, just in a room, for example, when you respond that way, how can they possibly respond? What do they say?
Silence, and usually I ended the meeting. They'll call for a break. Mm-hmm. There's nothing. I would stand up and say, how do you people justify refusing to give us back the remains of our ancestors? Proof of murder to this day. How do you justify it? It doesn't get any worse. How do you justify it? Europe is full of remains of Africans. They refuse to give them back. I look them in the face and I say, why? These are crimes committed by your ancestors. Don't you smile at me and tell me you had nothing to do with it. Fix it. Do the right thing. It's that simple. But as Africans, we're not expected to talk like that. We're supposed to be nice, be diplomatic. How do I tell a man who is raping me to rape me diplomatically? I'm sorry, I'm being crude, but that's what it is. You are exploiting Africa every day, and we're supposed to be nice. Oh, could you please bring my ancestors back? Oh, could you please give us back our artifacts worth trillions of dollars that you took and you refusing to respect? Oh, could you please? That's our reality. So I decided I'll call them out. That was my mandate. I intend to do my job, and I did that till they ran me out of Dodge.
Yeah. Listen, everybody, I've been so enthralled. We're with Her Excellency Ambassador Dr. Arikana Chihombori Quao, who is the founder of ADDI, the African Diaspora Development Institute. That's her most recent title. You'll have to rewind to hear all of her many accolades, or many of her accolades. And she is here teaching and preaching. Two things I hope that people take away from this conversation, Ambassador Arikana. One is the education. You've taught us so much in just these past 45 minutes. We got a whole college course in just 45 minutes. And so we don't have any excuses now that we don't know. And everything you've taught us, we can go and learn more about it. So that's the first. I said two things, but I have a few things. That's the first thing I want people to take away. The second thing that I want people to take away is we have the power. And she already broke down the numbers to us very simply. So I believe that everyone should go to addi.org/join right now and join. We can sit on these Facebook lives, and we can pump each other up in the comments, but what are you doing? That's the question she's asked. What are you doing? So she's given us something to do. And the next thing I want everybody to take away is we have to literally lift her up. You've heard how she puts herself on the line every single time she talks. She's not afraid to defend and stand up for us. I don't know how she does it. It's a supernatural great gift that she has from the ancestors. But what we can do is we can support her. And I'm thinking of all these church terms: a hedge of protection, pray a hedge of protection, whatever you believe, however your spiritual system leads you to provide supportive energy. I would like for you all to do that for Ambassador Arikana. Those are the main takeaways I have from tonight. And I feel like I want to send you a spa certificate so you can go and just relax your voice and not have to talk to anybody and not have to answer any questions or make any decisions, even if just for a couple hours. I'm not quite sure you would use it though, because your fire and your drive is unparalleled and unmatched. But I want to thank you from deep in the bottom of my heart for sharing this time with us. It was very important to me that the African Ancestry family get to see and hear you. And so I know you have many, many demands on your time, and for you to share some part of it with us tonight was invaluable.
Well, I also want to thank you for the work that you're doing. It's an amazing work that is really, really needed in this crucial time. I want you to know that as part of the trip, we're going to be having a trip to launch the City of Return from December 2nd to December 13th. We are going to be having a webinar. We were going to reach out to you where we are going to encourage people to get their DNA testing. Because remember, even if you test to be from another country, ultimately you came through Ghana, through the dungeons to come to the United States. So we want everybody that gets tested to come to the dungeons so you can stand on that soil that your ancestors last set foot on the African continent. We are going to have a day which will be an annual pilgrimage to Cape Coast, where people are going to be recognized by their name. We are calling that program Know Me by My Name. If you are a Smith, if you are a Jones, if you are a Washington, as a Black person, we're only going to trace you to the last slave master who owned your ancestors. We need to know you by your name. So if you test to be a Bamileke from Cameroon, we're asking, Gina, that you give us, as they get their results, the top 20 names of the Bamileke people. That those who test to be a Bamileke of whatever kingdom you come from, you pick up your kingdom name. So when we hear your name, whether it's your pet name or you make it your middle name, we know that you are a proud Bamileke woman. We want you to sit down with your children around the table and say, we are proud Bamileke. This is what we were known for. Read the history of the Bamileke people, how they fought the French. They didn't lie low. They were only defeated because their weapons were inferior. Teach your children about the kingdom they come from. Know you by your name. When they hear my name, Quao, they know that's Ghana. And when you get to Ghana, they can say, oh yes, the Quao people are from this part of the country. When they hear Chihombori, they say that's Zimbabwe. And when you go to Zimbabwe, they say, oh yes, the Chihomboris are from over there. The children of Africa, descendants of the formerly enslaved, we must know you by your name. So we are going to be reaching out to you, Sister Gina, to talk about this program. So when we go to Ghana in December, we are going to be naming our children. We're going to know them by their name.
Wow. Well, I'm all in. I know I'm working with Ola to come up with a date in July, if there's still some dates open, but I'm all in. I view you as the quintessential role model for all Black women. And I'm happy to partner with ADDI in any way that we can. So thank you so much.
We will make it happen. We will create the time This is crucial. We are also going to be teaching a language. We have chosen Ga. So before we go to Ghana, we are hoping to have some language classes every weekend for those who choose to learn Ga before we go home.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, you all, listen, thank you so much to everybody who's been in the comments. You all are in the comments crying. I've been trying to hold my tears. You've been teaching. I want to see how you felt about this, this more than a college course. If you were moved, if you learned something, let me see it in the comments. I want to know what this meant to you to have Ambassador Arikana, Her Excellency, with us this evening. It is the week of Father's Day is coming up. Juneteenth is coming up. We talked about what it will take for Africa to become free. And we've experienced some level of freedom during the Juneteenth, historical Juneteenth event. So for those of you who are celebrating this weekend, I hope you have very meaningful and love-filled celebrations. For those of you who are honoring your fathers this weekend, like I will be doing, I wish you all a very dear and love-filled Father's Day. I would be remiss if I didn't let y'all know, those of you who haven't joined the African Ancestry family yet, we're having a promotion this whole week. So you have until Sunday to take advantage of a 10% discount on any African Ancestry test kit. And actually, I think starting tomorrow is 10% off the entire site. So for those of you who have taken the test, if you're looking to get that pendant you've had your eye on, or if you want to get some personalized certificates for other family members, or if you want to get t-shirts, whatever it is, everything's 10% off on our site. And so you can take advantage of that. We're still in a pandemic. Although the world is opening up, I just encourage everybody to please continue to be careful. Please continue to social distance if that makes you feel comfortable. Wear your mask where they're mandated. Please continue to support your mental health and that of those you love. And please continue to support your immune systems, because that's what's gotten us here this far, taking care of our health and our immune system. Until we meet again, may you be
Gina,
and
I
many thanks to, yeah.
Don't forget Africa 101. If you want to read
yes,
all about it.
Africa 101. I'm sorry. We have a screenshot of it and everything. Please go right ahead.
Africa 101. It's a book that I wrote because I realized that there were only so many speeches I could give. There were only so many videos I could make. So I sat down and I wrote a book that I hope, we're calling it Our Bible as ADDI. You read Africa 101, you wake up a different person. We're calling it Africa 101, the wake up call. Wake up from your slumber of over 400 years. Knowledge of our history is what is going to wake you up once and for all. I urge all of you to get a copy of Africa 101. Go to africa101.org. africa101.org. Begin the journey to self-healing and self-discovery. Thank you, Sister Gina.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Have a very good evening. Everybody, you got your walking papers, you got your charge. Join ADDI and get Africa 101. Everybody have a good evening, and we'll see you again next Wednesday here on Facebook and YouTube. Good night.
Good night.